What's up, everyone? I'm Z, and this channel shows you the world through my lens. I feel like my voice sounds a little bit different right now, but I was literally like under anesthesia like 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, something like that. I don't know. I still feel a little weird, like my head feels heavy, but it's all good. I'm here. Everything's fine. It was just like a routine procedure to check some stuff that, hasn't been normal for me. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You guys don't need to know that. Here's the thing. I just reacted to Hi Lil Wayne like a day ago from when I'm recording this video. Hopefully you guys have seen that. If you haven't, definitely check it out. In that, I mentioned that I was going to try to do this new album as a whole album reaction. So I decided at that point that I was going to try to avoid, well, I had decided prior to that point that I was going to try to avoid listening to other tracks from the album. However, I mentioned in that video that I got a chance to exchange a few messages with Token, which was super, super cool. And as I mentioned in that video, very nice, humble, funny guy. So it was just a cool experience. Because of that interaction, I am going to be making an exception. We're going to be checking out this song right here, and then we'll go and check out the whole album. This music video is not out yet, but I'm watching it, and that's pretty cool. We're going to jump into this. This one is called What Am I Waiting For? I believe this video will be out Thursday or Friday this week, and then I'll publish this probably a little bit after the video comes out. And right away, we have some text on the screen. It says, my grandma's name was Shirley. She passed away a few weeks before my birthday. I wrote this song the day I found out. So, rest in peace, Grandma Shirley. I think already that's kind of setting the tone of what to expect. Again, I haven't heard the song before, but now I know that it's going to be potentially making me feel sad. Yay. So let's jump in and find out what we got.
I change how I look, how I talk, how I act. I change even more, I'm no longer yours. Only thing that don't change about me is wishing I change even more. What am I waiting for? My grandma said I want to visit you to get that LA view, but I'm...
Okay, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try really hard not to pause too much. Maybe I'll share some thoughts after a verse. I don't want to interrupt this type of subject matter too much. But I do want to say I like how we started out with this kind of singing. There were no percussions yet. And then when that beat came in, I love this style of beat. It's great for, storytelling type. I don't know if he's going to do storytelling, but it's great for that type of rap of lyrics. So let's continue here, and I'm going to try to stay quiet until the end of the verse.
What am I waiting for? My grandma said I want to visit you to get that LA view, but I might die before I ever get the chance to. I found a subject I could change to avoid the awkwardness and realizing the painful truth. But I wish I gave her honesty. I know losing memories is frustrating beyond belief, and every day there's a new body part to let a doctor see. But all that aside, how do you say that so casually? What does death mean to you? All your friends dying, does it bring stress to you? Do you think about it? Like, will it hurt at all? When will my whole life be compressed into a phone call?
Damn.
Like, yeah, she's gone. I wanna make her last years be a gift from God, but it's a losing game, cause I got the news today. It's funny how no matter how ahead you are, you're too late.
Oh, I really like the way he's doing that. I think that's the chorus.
Change how I look.
Yeah, it's the chorus again. Okay, so we have some setup going on here. We have an exchange. She wants to come out to LA, see, how he's living, check out his cool view before she passes away. And this is a thing that I think a lot of us can relate to, like elders in our life tend to a little bit too casually for my liking, throw around these statements like while I'm still alive or before I die. And everyone typically responds the same way. Grandma, don't say that. Mom, don't talk like that. Dad, this is just like a very common interaction that I think happens. Like it's a universal thing that happens for a majority of us. And so I think him talking about it this way is immediately making this song so relatable. The other thing I'm going to say, as I'm saying, it's like universal for so many of us. The visuals here, seeing this wide array of people, clearly different backgrounds, different ages. I think this is really cool to kind of show that this affects everybody. Like nobody escapes this particular aspect of life. Some of us can go through life and not experience some things, but this particular thing, we're all going to experience, one way or another. So really cool the way that this has kind of been put together. Lyrically speaking, at the end, when he said, I want to make your last days or last years comfortable, and then no matter how far ahead you get, you're always too late. So when he got the phone call, so it's like you don't actually know when it's their last days or last years. Like could be a few years from now, or it could be today. Beautifully put together.
It's funny how no matter how ahead you are, you're too late. I change how I look, how I talk, how I act. I change even more. I'm no longer yours. Only thing I don't change about me is wishing I changed even more. What am I waiting for? I used to have reoccurring dreams.
Okay, hold up. Before I go into that second verse, now after hearing that first verse, it's adding more meaning to that chorus. When he's talking about the only thing I don't like about myself is wishing that I changed even more. Again, this is this concept of not knowing when the end is coming, and so sometimes we put certain things that we desire to do or the person we desire to become on the back burner, because it's like, well, right now I'm doing this, but then I'm really gonna start spending more time with such and such, or I'm going to start, taking care of this relationship, or even yourself. But the problem with that is, this whole, what am I waiting for? It's like, yeah, that time could run out. So, really love how the verse elevated the chorus. Very well written.
What am I waiting for? I used to have reoccurring dreams about death. So ever since you brought it up, I've been sleeping less. I know what you gon' say, I'm too young to be going through it, but can I ask you some questions as the closest one to it? You so open about it, so I'm curious. Do you think an afterlife will be luxurious? Do you think it'll treat you as good as Jersey did? Do you think you'll see your husband? I'm just trying to picture what it's like to be you. 3 kids, 5 grandchildren, all come from you. Maybe because of us, your life has a different meaning and a view, and you're happy to live, but you don't have to. I just can't relate.
Ooh, I forgot I was going to try to pause after the verse.
Meaning and a view, and you're happy to live, but you don't have to. I just can't relate. My life is everything and I'm trying to make it great, but it's a losing game, cause I got the news today. It's funny how no matter how ahead you are, you're too late.
Fire.
I change how I look.
Okay, the reason I paused there, what an interesting perspective, him kind of questioning, continuing to question, like, so what was said in the first verse of, why is it so easy for you to talk about, or why are you so casually able to bring it up? And in this particular thing, saying, well, you had 3 kids and 5 maybe more, X amount of grandchildren. So maybe from her perspective, her job's done, and that's why it's like she doesn't feel like she has to keep living. That's a very interesting perspective to bring up, and then again, it's like maybe until you're in those shoes yourself, it would be hard to truly get an answer for that. But that's a very interesting perspective. And then for him to flip it back to himself, that despite him having maybe some nightmares about death, or even thinking about death, for him, he feels like there's still a lot left to do. He's still trying to achieve a lot of things. So he doesn't feel maybe the same level of comfort talking about this particular topic. Very well done.
Funny how no matter how ahead you are, you're too late. I change how I look, how I talk, how I act. I change even more, I'm no longer yours. Only thing that don't change about me is wishing I changed even more. What am I waiting for? On our phone call, you tensed up when you mentioned death. It still bothered me cause I want you to be content. It was the middle of the night, I guess that's what most happened. Did you find contentment or not even know what happened? The questions I don't have any answers to upset me, until I realize they're not meant to be. Maybe that's what's beautiful about the rollout. Grandma Tuesday, I'ma be crying my soul out. My birthday's coming up and even if you lived past it, I still change the subject every time you hinted at it. Cause I'm not even supposed to know till I'm supposed to know. And until I'm supposed to know, I'll be hoping I don't. I'll be hoping I don't. I wish I did more for you, but I know it's a losing game. I got the news today. It's funny how no matter how ahead you are, you're too late.
What is the purpose of this? The purpose is to say, I don't give a fuck. If you say it one more time, I'm gonna slap you. I'm your mother, I'm distraught. So the character is
I change how I look, how I...
I'm assuming maybe there's a recording of like maybe his grandma and his mom talking, perhaps. I'm not sure. Comment down below if you have any clarity on that.
is
I change how I look.
Okay, before we get into that chorus, because we just finished that verse right there. Man, the thing about this is like it's art that can invoke thought, especially deep thought about challenging topics. This is the top of the top, man. Like this is as good as it gets. And again, there's levels of stuff. There's a time and a place. Maybe sometimes you just want to party and have a good time and have fun. But both are needed to maintain a balance, a good balance in life. And I think if you're not exposing yourself to art like this that makes you think in general about anything, but like think about, let's say, topics that maybe you try to avoid typically, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I sit here and I think back to the last few people that I lost in my life, and what he said there, I remember both, like, for example, my best friend, one of my best friends, he was stabbed and killed when I was 17, when we were 17. And I remember the little time period leading up to that, like we had a disagreement about something in regards to his girlfriend at the time. And then I got caught up in something because I met somebody and I was like trying to spend time with them. And, he ended up breaking up with that girl, but then I was like caught up in this other thing. And all of these things were like happening leading up to it. And I kind of put him on the back burner because I was like caught up in doing these things. And, one day I get a phone call from somebody, and I initially was sitting there like, I felt like, I don't know if I'm like being pranked or like what's going on. And then I was like sitting there and I was like flipping through the TV, and like it was on the local news, and like he had gotten stabbed and they were trying to get him to the hospital and he died on the way to the hospital. And like at 17, it's not in your mind that your time with, someone your age is running out. At least not with the life that I was fortunate enough and privileged enough to grow up living. It was not a common occurrence for me. So when this happened, it was like instantly the thoughts were like how crappy of a person I was, how crappy of a friend I must have been, that in this time leading up to it, I didn't make him more of a priority. I could have been hanging out with him that night. They had gone to a party, things kind of got out of hand, and then it moved to this other thing and it all escalated. And I remember thinking, like, if I hadn't been such a crappy friend, hadn't been not hanging out with him right before that, I could have been there that night and I could have done something. And like I drove myself crazy, and I drove myself to doing a lot of things that probably could have destroyed my life. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to come out of that as well. And I remember when my grandma died, and I remember her laying in the bed, and I was hugging her body, and I was just saying, I'm sorry. Like, I wish I would have made spending time with her more of a priority and done it now. At that time, I was really busy working, and I was like, you know, I'm coming when I can, but I'm working these crazy hours. And like, there's always something. There's always something. And then before you know it, there's no more time. It's gone. You're too late. This song's crazy, man. The lyrics are amazing. The visuals, getting to see all of these people holding up these pictures. I'm speechless, man. This is all. I'm not speechless because I spoke for like 3 minutes, but now I'm going to be speechless.
How I talk, how I act, I change even more. I'm no longer yours. Only thing that don't change about me is wishing I changed even more. I change how I look, how I talk, how I act. I change even more. I'm no longer yours. Only thing that don't change about me is wishing I changed even more. What are you waiting for?
Wow. I've said everything I need to say, man. If you guys are still here, I greatly appreciate you spending your time with me. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will catch you next time.